The whole thing is pretty much a scam, to be honest.
This needs to be said. Now the rant needs to be fresh. So here I am, even if I'm tired. Woo. Today's Sunday, 5 p.m. I'm finally back home here in Munich, Germany. And yesterday I went to the Kpop.Flex festival. And it was, I don't know how to put it. It was the first ever K-pop concert that I went to. And honestly, we got scammed. That's let's call it what it is. We got scammed, all of us. I'm gonna rant about it. I'm gonna tell you what happened at the festival and why are people complaining about it. Our story begins when they opened the ticket sale. I like K-pop in general, so I said, sign me in. At the time, we only knew 2 out of the... Oh my God, it's eating the cable. Carlo, no! After I bought the tickets, I didn't really know the lineup, right? But I thought, like, I cannot think of a combination of groups that would come to this concert and I would not enjoy it. So I signed myself up for it, bought 2 tickets for me and a lucky companion. Originally, I was gonna go with my friend Tere. I mean, that was my plan. Unfortunately, she had some PhD and other things to attend to, so she couldn't come with me. But Tere, shout out to you. I'm happy you could skip all this, to be honest. I mean, except the show itself. And I ended up going with my boyfriend, who is not a K-pop fan. He is a passive listener because we live together, but he was in for the experience. So off we went. We bought train tickets to Frankfurt, which is around 3 hours and a half away from here. We got a hotel. Come on, Linda. Come on, join me. By the way, while I'm retelling this story, always keep in mind that some people, I mean, most people probably, came from around Europe, other countries, maybe even other countries outside of Europe. People paid a lot of money besides the expensive tickets. I would like to make a parenthesis here. There was a lot of changes going on before the festival. I should have known something was gonna go down that day. But here I'm just gonna focus on what happened on the day itself. Then Kai was announced as the headliner. Wow, I mean, my XOL heart burst. I had new goals unlocked now. Now I really wanted to attend this concert because I was gonna live my dream. Actually, I don't know how you're supposed to go to a concert. My concert outfit is also just like a t-shirt that I put it on not because apparently it's very warm. So I didn't put any makeup, didn't put any mascara because maybe I'll get emotional and cry. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds for us? Yeah, I'm very excited for Kpop.Flex. What am I most excited for? Probably Kai, but I also want to see all the other acts, to be honest. So we get there, like to the venue, around 2:33 maybe. People are vibing, everyone is excited. You can tell that everyone is ready to have a good time that day. Actually, the venue opened already in the morning and I met some people that have been there since 10 a.m. or something. Because it being a festival, not only did you have multiple groups, mi vida. Not only did you have multiple groups, but you also had outside the stadium, but inside the venue, you were supposed to have some tents with some food and some drinks. And even on the website of the festival, it said that you should not bring drinks and that, you could find food and drinks to cater all kinds of people, so like vegans, gluten-free, so you didn't have to worry about it. Oh, we should all have worried about it, to be honest. I think it was probably 26, 27 degrees, but in the sun, it was definitely warmer. And the sun, I don't know if you've been to Europe. If you're from the tropics, like I am, you might not know this, but here the sun hits differently. The sun is way closer to your skin. The lines were super long for everything. And the way it was set up is that all the tents were right next to each other. So you would have like tent, and not even that many tents. A small amount of tents all grouped together. And with all these huge lines, it was a bit of a chaotic situation.
So we were waiting because the line for the drinks was like 300 kilometers long.
And at some point the queues also didn't make sense because there was no organization. My boyfriend went to get us some drink, some sip of water that we desperately needed, while I was looking for food. So I queued, but I feel like I queued forever. At least easy an hour, just standing there in the sun between people. And I couldn't get to the food. It was just not moving. It was a mess. Besides this setup, imagine big sun, warm weather, zero shadow. The only people that had some shadow were the VIPs near the stadium. Once the sun was not on top but a bit angled, it would create a shadow with the stadium, and then there it was like heaven, to be honest, but it took a while and it was not that big of a space. So most of the space was in the direct sun. People were fainting. So far, it's not really a scam at this point, right? It's just really bad organization.
After 20,000 years of waiting, lots of queuing, we got 4 fries thing. Perhaps I got a sun shock because, oh wow, all this time probably I inhaled 25 bacteria because I was not using this thing.
We decided then it was time to enter the stadium. Another thing to note here, there was literally zero staff. Like, we didn't have to queue to enter our area. You will see why. We had to queue for the one staff guy that was standing somewhere around the stadium. So you could ask him where you had to go to enter your part of the stadium where your seat was. So there was no staff at all during this whole ordeal. Oh, wait, I forgot to mention this. The water was 5 euros for us. But I heard that some people were paying 7 euros for a cup of water. I mean, like a big cup, but I mean, in which Sahara desert would you pay 7 euros for a cup of water? You could apparently refill your thing, and there were some stations, but that was zero signals. There was also no signs and no staff. So it was, I mean, there was a big misinformation. I don't think you could get free water. I think you already needed a cup because you had to refill your cup from these faucets. I feel really bad for everyone that, you know, actually fainted or was not feeling good at all. It was definitely wrongly organized and potentially a safety hazard. When I bought the tickets, I just got the best one that they offered. I did it with like multiple phones and just picked the best one that I thought looked good in front, but in the seating area. So I was on the 3rd row of the seating area looking at the stage from the front. Turns out when we get there, that area is completely empty. And the reason why it was so empty is because the sound stage with some cameras and like the monitoring area that they do for concerts was right in front. So you couldn't actually see the stage from the seats we were at. Like, you literally couldn't see anything. Like, what the? The ticket did not mention restricted view. It was also not among the cheap tickets. I mean, it was normal price, I guess like 90 euros, a bit less. I thought this is going to fill up and we're going to be trapped looking at the necks of the sound system guys. That was the first second I thought I got scammed. My thought then was that maybe they had sold those tickets when they first opened, and then they realized, oh, this area has to be closed because it's behind the sound system. I mean, the monitoring. So I think they closed it afterwards. That's why no one else could buy tickets there, thankfully, because they should have ever been sold. Eventually, this was a bit solved because we just moved some seats above us two, and also the girls behind us. By the way, shout out girls, you were super fun. And then we could see the 2 stages from the front. It was meant to be a 5-hour show, right? Whenever you went to the Kpop.Flex website or Instagram or Twitter, they would constantly repeat that you would have 5 hours of performances. When we were sitting there chatting to the other people that had the same problem than us, I realized that the concert was actually going to start at 8 and not at 6 p.m. And the pre-show started at 6, but they only announced this a couple of hours before the actual show. So everyone was already there when they found out that the 5-hour show was actually 2-hour pre-show and 2 hours and a half and luckily 3 hours of actual show. This is the moment where the mass realized, oh damn, we got scammed, okay? We got scammed. How can you do this? It's honestly shameful that you would do something like this. Some acts, according to their schedule, only were gonna have 15 to 20 minutes of performance. Not even performance, of stage time. Imagine you actually came to this festival to see one specific act. Turns out you would only actually see them for 20 minutes. Imagine you paid the VIP ticket for exclusive 5 hours of enjoyment watching K-pop. Turns out it's only 2 hours and a half, hopefully 3, and no one told you about it. Like, that's the worst part. Like, you can't pay a lot of money for a reduced amount of time if you want to, but you should be informed of what you're paying for. It was so upsetting. It was really, really upsetting. The pre-show started with a Busan commercial that lasted long, long minutes. So we were all there watching a commercial on the screen about Busan and a K-pop festival in Busan. And then there were some performances that were actually really nice, like dancers and break dancers. There was some musical going on. I mean, all of that, honestly, these people kept everyone away from insanity. But nothing can be good enough in this situation. Like, they were super talented. They were amazing. And they would have been an amazing pre-show if the pre-show didn't take half of the performance time that you had actually paid to watch. Among these cool acts, there were also very random things, like a speech from the Council of Korea in Frankfurt. I mean, I respect you. And I think it's because the Kpop.Flex festival at some point got mixed with the Korean Culture Festival. I thought that was fine because I thought the venue outside of the stadium was going to be the cultural festival aspect of it, but not the pre-show that was actually half of the show time that I paid for. I just feel like sometimes some people think that K-pop fans would like anything that is Korean related, and that may be true to a lot of K-pop fans. And I think K-pop fans do love Korea as a whole, and they are interested in the culture and they want to know more about it. But I think there are times and places for this, not lying to them and then feeding them this instead of what they actually were told they were purchasing. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the wrong part. I think all these things individually in a different setting would have been very welcomed and very much appreciated. It was just there. And the fact that you found out only being there that the performances were actually 20 minutes long, and instead you got a speech from the council, and it is also not fair to the people that were doing the pre-show either. I hope they had fun. I hope they enjoyed the big crowd, and thank you for honestly keeping us there. My theory with all this is that they had, I mean, this is all alleged. What I think happened is that they had negotiated some performance time with the K-pop groups. And then they thought, we can open actually 2 dates. Also because apparently Monsta X could only come on Sunday and not on Saturday. And then they just split the times that they had already negotiated in half and fill the rest with a pre-show. But that's just my piece of theory about this. And because I truly think that the organizers of this festival decided to go the cheapest way possible, even at the expense of the audience, to gain the most profit out of this. And I mean, gaining the most profit is always the goal. I understand it. But not when it comes to the expense of your audience, to the point that you're literally misleading people into buying things that you promised them and then completely not delivering on the package that you sold them. What's your favorite fashion show 2022?
My favorite was the Ambassador.
They should pay us for this. We all sat there and watched the Busan ad for 10 minutes. People in the pit were standing all this time, right? They were standing for this pre-show thing because we were right where the paramedics were, because it was an empty area, remember, behind the sound system. We literally saw, 5 people in a row being carried away in the paramedic beds. The pit area was also quite challenging for this event. I mean, I guess it would have been in any case for 5 hours of a show, but at least you could enjoy the show before fainting. But now you were just trying to survive the pre-show before fainting. Never again, Kpop.Flex. Never again. Now let's go to the fun part, the part where the K-pop festival actually starts. The energy. I mean, the energy was still going even through these other things. Honestly, the mass, like the crowd, was everything in this scenario because I was pissed. But the fact that people were still cheering for the consul giving his speech, I've never heard something like this. None of my recordings on my phone or on the camera truly show it. But the screams were crazy. And I was in an area that was empty, right? Like, insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Yulia said he has never heard something like this before. I don't go often to concerts to have an opinion, but it was pretty crazy. I think my ears will never recover. Which ones do you think were the loudest cheers?
NCT.
So I hope everyone, from the pre-show to the K-pop groups, felt our excitement about having a K-pop festival in Europe because it was amazing and I want them to come back and have their own concerts. I think the K-pop groups themselves made the whole difference. They were just giving such a good show that I feel like their heart was truly in it and we were all having a great time. It was amazing. And I wish so much that we would have gotten the full version of what we thought we were getting, because this half a show was amazing. It was so much fun. And you could tell they were having fun. I imagine they were probably jet lagged and confused. But even then, they gave it their all. It was amazing. We had such a good time. I was quite far away. So I guess my favorite thing about K-pop is generally the dancing, and it was super far. So I was like, I wish I had brought some binoculars. I was going to, but my boyfriend said that's not a thing. But then the girl next to us had a binocular. So jokes on me, I guess, for trusting this man. Never trust men is the lesson we learned today. My favorite was definitely Kai, but I mean biased 1000%, but it was a dream come true. I generally enjoyed all of the performances. I didn't know some of the groups much. Like, I've never seen AB6. I loved them. I literally loved all of them. Also, I knew I-DLE, but I've never been too much into it, and I was pleasantly surprised. I think this was also the performance that my boyfriend was most surprised by. All of them were amazing, and the energy was amazing, and it was a great ending for quite the ride to get there. I feel sorry that it didn't work out, this festival, because if it had been a good experience, I would make sure to attend every time I can. But now, I don't know in which situation I would accept doing this again, because I don't trust these organizers. I would like to think it was more like an ignorance kind of thing, but things like the fact that the pre-show was 2 hours, that just sounds like a scam to me. Sounds like a purpose lie that you would withhold this information until the last minute. Anyways, big thank you to the K-pop groups that went there. Wow, I think we all left with a smile. To conclude on what my first K-pop concert was like, it was definitely a lot of fun, like the concert part of it. I should probably be smarter and pick shows that seem to be better organized. I don't know what can prevent the situation, except hopefully me sharing an opinion about this, telling the story of what happened in the Kpop.Flex. Thank you for listening to my story. If you were there and you also relate to what I'm saying, please comment below. I don't want to feel alone, and maybe people need to know that it was not a one-sided experience, this whole thing. Yeah, and if you had good experiences with K-pop things, maybe also let me know, because honestly now I'm just worried. I have to give something else a shot, maybe a concert, hopefully Stray Kids manifesting European tour, I mean world tour, that is actually a world tour.